Hello guys, we will be learning today how to create analysis using the CAD mapper file that we have downloaded. So we are creating a Windrose analysis in Ladybug using Grasshopper. So let's get to it. So you have to first double click on the screen to find this component, which is the download DB component, and you have to use panel in order to link the data that we are inserting to the component. We have to search up the data in APW file, and this is weather data from all around the world. In this case, we are focusing on Swinburne, so we will search up our location. You can see how Swinburne doesn't have data, but if we zoomed out, we can see a few data nearby Swinburne, so we can use the closest data, which in case is this data. So hit copy and paste it in the panel component and link it to the other component. Afterwards, we have to use Ladybug import component and link the APW file to the component. In this case, we are using the Windrose component to create the analysis, and we have to link the wind speed to the data and the wind direction to the wind direction. And you can see how the analysis appeared on our screen. But unfortunately, the analysis is not centered, so we have to use point in order to center the analysis into our building. So in this case, we are focusing on ATC building, so we will place a point in the middle of this building and right click the component to set a point, and we have to click the point, and if the component is green, that means the point is linked. And then once we link the component to the other component, you can see how the analysis is centered. In this case, our model is not set to the north point, so we have to do that by using 2 points. The point in top will be representing where north is facing, so we have to use 2 points again to link it to Grasshopper. So set point, click on the first point and set the second point and click on the second point. And in order to link these points, we have to use vector 2 points. And in order to show how these 2 points look like, we have to use vector display, which shows a little arrow on the screen. So link it to A first and link vector to vector. And you can see how the arrow is displaying on our screen. We have to link the vector to the north point on the component to set the north point correctly. Now we have to do the periods. So in this case, we will be focusing on summer, and we using analysis period tool, which gives you the option to set month, day, and hour. So in this case, as I said, it's summer, so we will start with December. And the day, we can just make it the start of December, day 1. And we can set the maximum numbers by double clicking on the component and making it 30. And in this case, we can just make this one 12. And we can just copy paste the slider and set this one as 24. And to set the end of the month, we can set it as 9 a.m. in the morning. And to set the end of this month, we can just copy paste the elements again and set it as February. day could be the end of the month. And again, the hours, we can just make it 5 p.m. And we can link the period to the period. And you can see how once we link the period, that the analysis disappears. It gets smaller on the screen, but we can easily fix that on Grasshopper. So what we will be fixing is the frequency distance, frequency hours, and maximum frequency lines. So set that as 20 and you can see how it's getting bigger. And the hours by default is set as 50, but once we change the hours to lesser hours, the analysis becomes bigger, and we can play around with the size. And in this case, we can use another slider to play around with the lines and set like maximum numbers as well in here. So 20 is the perfect size for our site. And if we go to a 3D view, we can see how the Windrose analysis is fitting the site correctly. And in order to bake these, we have to first create a layer and call it Windrose Analysis, and go back to Grasshopper to bake this component. You can right-click on the component and use the bake tool and bake it to the layer that we created. You can see how everything is baked in our in Rhino now. We can just turn off these elements and even close Grasshopper. If we go to a 2D view, we can see the text, but unfortunately the text is too big. We can just like move it to the side, and we can move this to the side as well, and we can delete most of the text here to make things easier, and we can just leave the north point, and we can even make it smaller. In here you can see the analysis that we baked on the screen, and you can use it for different purposes.